Welcome to Freeform Radio on the Freeform Network. You can follow us on Facebook on the Freeform Network, on X at FFR Podcast. And remember to send your questions and suggestions to ffnquestions@gmail.com. This will be responding to all our listeners with comments, questions, concerns. So hit us up there or on X. But today we have Noel with us.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining us.
And then Danny is out today. And we're just going to go into it. Noel looks like he's been busy. He watched The Legacy of Rage, an early Brandon Lee movie. I don't know if I've seen this one, but what's it about?
So this came out back in '86. So this is one of Brandon Lee's earlier movies. He it says right here on IMDb, he plays a character named Brandon Ma. Brandon Ma's an average Joe, but his best friend Michael is a sinister drug leader and a drug dealer, and he has a crush on Brandon's girlfriend. So when Michael, the drug dealer, murders a dirty cop, he frames Brandon Lee and sends him to jail. So it's kind of like a Count of Monte Cristo type thing, where it's like there's three friends and then, there's one girl. So the one friend betrays, the other friend, makes him go to jail, forgets about him, thinks he's going to die. But Brandon Lee ends up breaking out and goes for, vengeance, just revenge, essentially.
Yeah,
right now, it's got a 6.0 on IMDb. It's a short one. It's an hour and a half movie. But it's got your typical, the 80s, aesthetic to it. It's not like the best, movie I've ever seen or anything, but it was entertaining for sure. And I've been a fan of Brandon Lee since, I was a little kid growing up, and it was sad that he passed away on The Crow and all that. So when I found out he had these other movies before The Crow, I only knew of like the big ones, right? Like there was Showdown Little Tokyo, Rapid Fire. Those are like two of his bigger movies before The Crow. But then I started looking back more and more, and I was like, okay, he has two other movies, three actually: Laser Mission, Legacy of Rage, and one called Kung Fu with what's his name, David Carradine or whatever his name is.
Oh man, he made a movie with Carradine.
Yeah, based on the TV show. You remember that Kung Fu show that Carradine was in? So yeah, I think Bruce Lee was originally supposed to be in that, but he passed away. So Carradine took over and was in the actual TV show. And so I guess they made a movie. I don't know if it was based on the show or what, but it's called Kung Fu the movie. So I'm assuming it's based on the show, and it has Brandon Lee as like, yeah. And it was interesting. I've seen both of those. And Brandon Lee, he was a young actor, so he had a lot of potential, man. You could totally tell like he was growing in his acting ability, and he of course had Bruce Lee's martial arts ability. So it was really cool to see that, him throwing some kicks and some roundhouses and shit, and it was interesting. I do recommend it. People that have never seen it, give it a shot.
Yeah, all I know is he had a couple of B movies, and I think he had one like was kind of a hit, and I think that's what got him The Crow. I don't remember the name of it.
It was probably Rapid Fire.
I think that one
with Powers Booth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was the one right before The Crow. He did Showdown Little Tokyo with fucking Drago. What's his name? Dolph Lundgren.
Yeah, Dolph Lundgren.
And Tia Carrera from Wayne's World and all that. So they were, all three of them were in that one, then Rapid Fire, then The Crow. But yeah, I mean, he's been in other stuff, but it was like smaller roles. So I was just trying to see like what he made that he was like a major part of. And looks like Kung Fu came out that same year that this other one came out, Legacy of Rage. So Kung Fu the movie, David Carradine. It even has Mako from Conan the Barbarian. I don't know if you remember Mako, the wizard dude, the Japanese wizard guy. Yeah,
yeah, the Kung Fu. I think people forget it. What a popular show that was, and I think they brought it back as a TV show I didn't know they got movies made, to be honest with you, but yeah. Because I think that show was supposed to go to Bruce Lee. Then something happened and they gave it to David Carradine.
Yeah, I want to. I'm curious to see when that show actually came out because I don't really, I don't really recall if the reason was because obviously Bruce Lee died. I think in '73. Yeah, it looks like that's pretty much the reason why Kung Fu the show went from 1972 to 1975. So yeah, it looks like because Bruce Lee's passing, David Carradine was part of it. And anyway, yeah, so that Kung Fu movie, it was all right. I would say Legacy of Rage is better. But it was just interesting to see, Brandon Lee act in a few other things. But yeah, it's kind of like also an honor of because the Crow just recently got released in 4K. They're doing like a reboot of it. And so because all this stuff going on, I think May was the anniversary of it. I was like, yeah, let me watch some of these other Brandon Lee movies, and yeah, I recommend it.
Damn, so they made a 4K of The Crow. I
Yeah, I
mean, it
picked
looks
it
like
up
they're
right
doing that
away.
a lot, but I don't know, man. Like I haven't seen The Crow in forever. Like I kind of remember, like not that it wasn't good. It was just like, meh. Like I felt it could have been better. I think I remember they had to get like the ending. I think they had to change it up a little bit if I remember correctly because he died, but or they had to do some stuff to make it work. But it wasn't like exactly that good, what I recall.
I would rewatch it. I rewatched it recently, like maybe not too recent, but like almost a year ago. Um, to me, it holds up. I can dig it because I like the mixture of like the superhero. It's like almost like an anti-hero, kind of like Batman. So he's like kind of has this like mystique about him. He's kind of immortal now, and he's got these powers that he's trying to get vengeance. And I like the dark grittiness of the city, and it feels like a time capsule because you don't really see movies like that anymore. So I would give it a rewatch. Maybe you might like it more now than when you first saw it. Um, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna try. Um, it just like it was so long ago, and then everybody just knew that this guy died, and then like I think it didn't do that good at the box office, what I recall, but yeah, and I remember renting it, and I was just like, oh, I was kind of hyped up, and I was like, it was okay, but it wasn't memorable too. That's why I'm saying I haven't watched it in so long that I'm like, it didn't stick with me.
Yeah, I don't know. To each their own, right? Like everybody, it's not everyone's in like every movie. I think maybe because I like Brandon Lee as the actor, I think maybe I like it more for that reason, probably. But it's still to me a solid, entry in that type of movie. Because I would say that's probably like the most obscure role he's ever played. He has like these superpowers, he's immortal and all that. His girlfriend was raped and murdered. He was murdered as well, and he came back from the dead to get vengeance on these gangbangers that are, still causing all this chaos in the city. So I mean, it's got a cool like concept to it. Obviously, they milked it to the fucking max, and it was like overkill. The movies that came after, Mark Dacascos, all that. I'm not really into that, but the OG, the original, I would say that's a solid 7 out of 10. Maybe even almost 8, like depending on, you know, if you look, if you just, I guess if you really like Brandon Lee as an actor, you might give it a little bit more than 7. But moving on, I watched another movie that this is a classic one as well. I don't know. I'm sure you've seen this, right? Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
I seen it as a kid. I haven't seen it. I remember clips of it. Yeah, like every once in a while I see clips, but it's been a while. Yeah, that was funny.
Oh man, it was absolutely hilarious, man. I remember one of my first few times that I smoked some weed. I ended up watching this movie. I was totally baked, and it was just like the perfect movie to watch while stoned, man. And obviously, I watched it again. This time not stoned, and it was still just as funny, man. Like the the concepts they have, the I don't know what you would call it, like the comedy group of all these actors, they just work so well together, and their skits, like their little, because it's like pretty much a bunch of different segments put together, and I mean it all blends together, but they have just a lot of random stuff going on, and it was just really cool to see again, and obviously I watched it in on Blu-ray 1080p, and the original was just a DVD. So the Blu-ray, I would say it holds up pretty good. Like the quality was improved for sure compared to the DVD, and the sound, everything was pretty good. And these guys are getting older, man. A lot of them are not around anymore, unfortunately. So it was it's like a little time capsule. British humor is a little different, but hilarious, man. Absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, I don't think that movie would be made today, because it's
No.
so like it's like one of those like Blazing Saddles type of movies. It's like I said, it's just so yeah. Today, like it was funny. Like I remember like now just seeing clips every once in a while, like on reels or something or shorts, but or TikToks and stuff. But that's about it. But yeah, it is fucking hilarious.
Yeah. Like they don't even have horses. They have like this guy with coconuts like banging them together like a horse sound.
Yeah.
Like it's just goofy as hell, man. But yeah, it's one of those movies that I think everyone should eventually watch at one point. It's got an 8.2 on IMDb, hour and a half movie back in 1975. But
Yeah, those movies from the '70s, like I said, they'll never make them again.
no,
Um,
yeah.
they still like some of the movie podcasts I follow. They still talk about like when they watch old movies like those, or like this wouldn't get made today. Like if they did, it'd be so watered down. It's not even comparable to this
Yeah. Yeah,
to the
it's
original.
most comedy movies like nowadays aren't as good as they used to be, man. It's different now, It doesn't seem as original, I guess, too. Like I don't know. It's different.
Or just different times, man. And that's okay, I guess.
Right. I mean, at least we had those other times, right? So we can go back and watch these, older movies that are, still just hilarious, like Airplane's another one too. You won't see movies like that anymore. But yeah. Another thing too, I'm looking forward to later on this year, maybe next year, I want to, possibly build a new computer. The one that I have now, I custom built it. I want to say like back in like 2019, 2020-ish, something like that. So I've had it for, a number of years now. Um, it's really good. It's just the newer games that are coming out, this computer is not able to handle in 4K. And, I got a 4K TV, I got OLED going for it, everything. I'm like, if I'm going to play these games that I haven't played in years, like that I've kind of put off on playing because I want the higher quality, then I think it's time to upgrade. So I've been like keeping my eyes open to see, the news that's going on about it. Of course, I'm not like super into the industry of computers yet, so um, I usually rely on my cousin Ismail for some input and stuff. And he's recommended AMD for gaming. Um, I don't know. I don't really think you play many games, right? But I don't know if you heard about AMD just being better in general for gaming than Intel.
Well, I thought Intel was the shit. I mean, when I bought a new computer. My last laptop had Intel. I use it for like the podcast, and I just bought a computer, and that has Intel. And I don't know. I thought AMD was always like inferior product, to be honest with you.
You'd be right for the most part. AMD was always not necessarily inferior, but the budget friendly product. Is always usually cheaper than Intel. And Intel is definitely better for productivity. So the laptop that you got, that's the way to go for using like for a podcast or whatever, browsing, things like that. Even games it could do, of course, right? But the thing is, some of these Intel processors run really, really hot, and you need like water cooling, or you need some crazy setup to keep them cool, and they're really expensive as well. And the thing is, some of these processors, for being as expensive as they are, have been measured against the AMD budget-friendly one. For example, there's one called the 7800 X3D, I believe it's called, and this one AMD made is outperforming in games the Intel like high end ones. So when you see that, like it's like, all right, AMD is probably the way to go because it's gonna be cheaper and it runs games better. So if all you're doing is playing video games and that's what this computer is for, then that specific processor, the 7800 3D or X3D, that's the one to go with over the Intel. So yeah, I've been keeping my eyes open, looking for deals. I'm probably gonna pick up like piece by piece the stuff because some of it's not released yet. I'm sure you heard of the RTX series, like the graphics cards the Nvidia
Yeah.
has. So they came up with the 4080, the 4090, and then most recently the 4080 Super, which is probably like I would say the best card to go with for the price. The 4090 is just really expensive, and a lot of them are freaking melting. I don't know if you heard about that controversy, but so I'm looking to see the next generation, and because their improvements are just getting, really crazy, like one after another, from the 3000 series to the 4000 series. It was an incredible leap, and they're saying that the 5000 series, which is coming up either by the end of this year or early next year, that's going to take it to another level where maybe you might even be able to do 8K. Now, I don't think I'd ever do 8K,
Damn.
but I just want to play 4K, minimum 60 frames a second, ideally 120 frames a second, and that'll look, buttery smooth, and it'll run everything that I want it to run. So I'm looking into all this stuff. Again, not everything is out yet, so I'm gonna keep you guys updated on all that. But hoping to play some of these games that are coming out, man. Resident
So
Evil 9 is coming out soon.
real quick, Noel, so today I know back in the day when you needed like electronic stuff, you'd go to like Fry's and like I'm really dating myself, Newegg. Like, where do you go? Just Amazon? Or what specialty stores are left to buy computer equipment?
Yeah, so pretty much it would be Newegg
You still
or
Newegg?
Amazon, or
Yeah.
maybe even some other websites might still have it. But again, I haven't had to really look for computer parts in years, man. It's been a while, so I'm sure there's places to get it from. I just don't really know, aside from the tried and true Amazon and Newegg. I'm not really sure. Maybe Tiger Direct, but I think their
Tiger
prices are like
Direct.
overinflated. I
Yeah.
remember that we actually used to have one over here in
Yeah, in the
Illinois.
city. Yeah.
I can't remember what city it was though.
There
It
was
was
one in Chicago because I remember I went to it. And I think there was one like Downers Grove or something, somewhere around there, Carroll Stream. But I remember it wasn't that far from the fries that we had here.
yeah. It was just always overpriced. That's the only thing. It's like I'd rather just save money and get it through Newegg, get it shipped to me. So we'll see though, man. All that stuff, like I said, it's like not a necessity. I have a good computer, right? So the computer that I would ideally build, we're talking about $2,500 right there. I don't want to just throw it at it, like nothing. I want to save up this money, maybe get the best pricing I can, and maybe bring it down a little bit. And I'm in no rush. Those games aren't going anywhere. Like I said, eventually I'm gonna catch up to them. All the Resident Evils that I haven't played, the 7, 8, 9 is on its way. I don't know, maybe next year I think it's coming. And there's a few other games though. Cyberpunk 2077. My computer just probably wouldn't run it well, so I'm gonna wait till they get the new one. But yeah, man, that's all I got going for me right now. Let's switch it over to you, man. Like I know you were in the process of moving to your new house, so how's that transition been going, dude?
Don't move, dude. Do not move.
Damn, that bad, huh?
It just, yeah. I mean, So right now, I'm working or I'm calling from one of the rooms, the office. I'm calling it, and I'm doing it off my phone because we still don't have internet here. And then my computer is still boxed up downstairs. We're about So when we moved, it was 2 days worth of stuff. My plan was I took time off of work to move on Thursday and Friday, and then when you're married and you have a kid, it's like a whole different process, man. And that's the problem here. Like you accumulate so much crap. There's a lot. Excuse me. There's a lot of stuff I threw out. My wife's the opposite. She likes to keep everything and reuse it, but it comes to a point where you're like, I'm done moving crap. And so it's just the whole process, man. Like we rented a U-Haul when we did what we did the first day, second day, and then by like Saturday, we're moving stuff with our cars and my pickup, and then slowly there was like a lot of the things left over, and now it's the hard part, the unpacking of everything and clothes, and you got stuff scattered all over the place, and getting to know the ins and outs of your new house, and that's the whole thing. And then we got a kid, and then it's a lot bigger. So I mean, it's a good thing, but also, and then getting to meet our neighbors too has been somewhat fun. Because when we bought it, we had the house remodeled. It took them literally the whole month of May. We got the house finished the week before Memorial Day. So they finished up, we cleaned it, and then we moved everything. And like I said, it was, yeah, it's just a lot of shit. And then we met the neighbors, and they're all okay.
Was it, is it like, are they like Mexican friendly, or I don't know how to word
dude,
it.
This is where I was living before. I called it. My wife didn't like it. The neighborhood started changing to like the hood where I grew up.
Oh
It's
man.
like it's mostly Latino, and then when I was there, it was still like mixed. But in the last years, from like 2019 through the pandemic, all those older people, American people, they started leaving, and more Mexicans or Hispanics started coming in. I mean, I don't care. I'm Mexican too, but like I grew up and like I paid my dues, man. I don't want to go through this shit again. So
I hear
with the
ya.
music, the drinking, then the parties every weekend. Like right now, it's graduation season, so in my own neighborhood, we were there yesterday, and I must have counted. It was Saturday. It was like the whole block was just littered with people partying for graduations.
Damn.
It was like three houses I saw were packed, and then at the end of the other side of the neighborhood, they had a block party. It was a graduation for like they shut down the block. Like I didn't even know you can do that there, and so yeah, and then yeah, that's why I said like, man, we need to get out of here because it's gonna get worse. Like I've seen this shit before.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. Yeah, we actually had a recent, like last year we had like a block party as well. One of our neighbors came by. They're like, "Hey, can you sign this like, form that you're okay with us, blocking off the street to do a block party?" And my parents were like, "Yeah, no, it's cool, do it." And it was cool to see the community get together, little party there, but I get where you're coming from. Like sometimes it can get out of hand with all these people just doing some crazy shit and no real regulations or like courtesy
And
for
they
the
don't invite
neighbors.
you, man. Like what the fuck?
Right.
The
They don't give
fuck?
you
I'm gonna be
no
that
leftover
hater.
plates. Yeah, dude.
But yeah, then you come over here. It's a lot of older people. Um, really nice. And then the one neighbor to us, they like to. There's what I call the garage door open people. They're always in there smoking and drinking, but they keep to themselves.
Interesting. All right.
And then everybody else is just older people, which is cool. And then there's a park up the street. I mean, it's not bad. Just the moving sucks. And then you just, like I said, you got so much shit. Like once I get the internet going here, I gotta set up all this shit for us for the devices, and then I still gotta set up my TV antenna. Gotta set up my PlayStation, and then so we can stream stuff and all this other shit. And then I gotta set up my computer, and then I still gotta unpack the other some of my clothes. My wife's doing that. So like perfect example when we moved in that first weekend, I'm like, I'm gonna do some laundry the first night, Saturday night. I threw a load in there. And like you're tired, right? You've been moving shit all day. Like you need clothes. And then I threw it in there and like nothing happened. The washer didn't start or nothing. Like it wasn't not even no clicking or nothing. I'm just like, what the fuck, right? So I'm like, why is this thing not working? And then I'm like fucking around with it. I'm like, are the valves to the water not on? So I flip the valves open, and guess what? That works. I'm like, all right, cool. I walk away. I come back. Then I throw stuff in the dryer. The dryer starts up immediately. I'm like, sweet. And then I go play with the kid. And then I come back like 20 minutes later just to see, because it's the first time where I'm using the dryer. Everything's working how it's supposed to. I come into that laundry room. It's just hot as fuck. There's condensation everywhere. I'm like, what the fuck is going on in here, man? So I turned off the dryer, and then I'm like looking around in the back. The vent, you get that flexible hose that connects to the vent to throw all that out. There was no hose there.
Oh no, dude.
So I'm like, what the fuck? So I had to go to Menards, buy the fucking hose, buy the worm band, get in there, fucking. I mean, it's easy, but when there's no room and you're a big guy like me, it fucking sucks.
Shit.
And then when we were moving our grill, like my pride and joy, like I actually splurged some money, bought like a Weber propane grill a couple years ago. Like I treat this thing like really nice. And we were moving it. My father-in-law was helping me move it. He kind of like, he dropped it from his side. So I fell back. I'm like, motherfucker, like what force, right? So I set it up. And then everything inside was like, it looked fine. I had to clean up the inside, like where the covers are over the flames and all that fell off. It was all nasty in there. And then I did all that. And then one of the sides didn't want to light up. It just kept kicking out gas. And then I kept messing around with it. Finally, I got both sides to light up, to like heat up, to have a flame. And yeah, dude, that's what I'm saying. Like, fuck, like, try to be careful, but it sucks. And then you gotta unpack and shit, make sure nothing breaks. I mean, granted, we didn't move that far. We moved to the next town over, basically. But yeah, that's where the frustration grows.
Yeah, no, I hear you on that, man. I've never really moved myself, but I've helped other people move, and it's always a mission and a half, man. Especially when you got a lot of stuff, and generally people do. So it's not like a simple just a couple boxes and that's it.
No,
It's like, man, you're, and then if it's hot weather, dude. There's been like 2 or 3 occasions where I help people move in hot, like 80 plus degree weather, and I thought I was gonna freaking die, bro, or pass out. It's just like shit.
well, yeah, dude. Saturday night by Sunday, I'm like, Sunday, like it was Memorial Day weekend. Like I ain't doing shit. Like I'm fucking done. I need a day off.
Yeah.
My wife's like, what do you mean? Like I'm done. Like all I'm gonna do here is watch shit on my phone we'll go somewhere if we need to. I'll grow some food later, but that's it. I ain't doing dick. What? Like,
Yeah,
I am exhausted. Like I've been moving shit since like Thursday, nonstop.
exactly, man.
And then like I was done like putting shit. Like yesterday, my wife went out with the kid. I moved a bunch of stuff into the basement, unpacked a couple things, and like after that, I'm like, man, I'm still dealing with this shit, like moving shit around. So yeah, it's just not a fan of it. But
Yeah.
when it comes down to it, it's worth it. But yeah, and like the neighborhood is not bad. I'm getting to know it. It's a lot closer to better amenities than the old neighborhood. And then so it's, like I said, it's fine. It's just the moving, getting people to help you, and then you're like the trying to get rid of shit. That's the other thing. Like I feel like it's a good chance to declutter, but I throw away a lot of shit. But not everybody has the same mentality that I do, you know. And getting people to help you. And my mom helped me out a lot, and then dealing with the boy, that's a new aspect. I never had to deal with the kid. He's like barely, he's almost 2 years old, and he's just running wild, getting pissed off, like you don't know what's going on. And then this house, we really had to baby proof the house because he can open doors. He opens the
Oh,
cabinets, the dishwasher. There's buttons. He presses it, and then like lights come on and shit. So he's like, "Ooh, what's this?" And then so we had to put like covers over there for preventing him to turn the button on and off. And we had to lock up the cabinets. We had to put these special things over the knob so he can't twist it because he can open doors. And we got like a long stairway here. And like my wife's like obsessed that he's gonna prevent him from falling down on that thing. So yeah. And then we got the basement. Like he knows the door. One door in the kitchen that when you open it up, it takes you to the basement. There's like another long walkway going downstairs, stairway. So he's just like, oh, I want to try that challenge because he climbs everything right now. You know,
yeah. What is it? Is it either two or three? They call the terrible. What is
the
it? Two
terrible
or three?
twos. Yeah. So that's
Yeah.
coming up. Yeah, that's he's already having. He has tantrums and stuff. And then
Yeah.
he has his toys, and then like we'll put cartoons on for him, and I'll settle him down. But anytime there's a commercial or something, he's like, "Man, what the hell is this?" He gets pissed, and he starts like punching the screen,
Oh, snap.
like he's like slapping it, like "Get out of here!"
Right. Oh man, that's adorable though, man. Yeah, like it reminds me of my niece and nephew, like because when they were born, I was like in between jobs for each of their birth, like when they were born for each of them,
Mm-hmm.
and so I got to help take care of them for a little bit until I got my new jobs. And yeah, so I remember those days, man. The twos, man, the twos and threes, really. They was they're running around and bumping into everything, getting
Yeah,
little, scrapes and bruises and stuff. And yeah, it was stressful, but once you get over that hurdle, man, it gets easier.
yeah. Like I said, man, it's cool, but also you're just like, oh god, like I can't. As a kid, I can't deal with this right now. I got a lot of anxiety.
Yeah. No, I don't
And
blame you,
then
man.
like I said, the movie is okay. Like it's worth it. It's part of growing up, and we're renting the other house, which is awesome. The we got some I got some in-laws helping me out, so that wasn't like this whole other headache. We could that could have been, you know,
Right.
and so we're doing pretty good, man. And then we'll see how it goes, and then like I said, the this whole process, like I know a lot of people don't move, have never moved, which is awesome. But once you do, like you get, that's when you notice like how much shit you got that you never use. And that's what I was telling my wife, like if something's old and we got something new to replace it, now's your time to get rid of it. and use it at the new house. But sometimes she doesn't know how to process that, I guess.
Some people, man, they get attached to certain things. Um, yeah, it's sometimes it's hard to part ways with your stuff. I know I have stuff from like years ago that I'm like, man, I don't really use this. It's just kind of stored away. I could get rid of it, but then like part of me is like, what if like 2 years from now I want to look at this like whatever this document or whatever or like old shit that I have like and I won't have it and I'll want to see it. It's like, damn, maybe I should just hold on to it. It's really not taking up that much space. So I get it, man. Sometimes it's hard to part ways with things. And yeah, I don't really know the solution to that though.
Nah, it's just you gotta. I don't know, man. Like I said, to each his own. I know there's stuff that you're gonna keep, and there's other stuff you're you just gotta get. And like to me, it's like new house. You want new things. We have a lot of new things. Throw away the old things, because here's your chance. Because I was throwing out like fucking cooking pans and shit. And she was like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm throwing this out. Why? Like, I bought you a whole new set of cooking pans like a year or two ago. There's your chance to use them at the new house. This thing is old anyway, and like it's useful, but fuck it, we got our money's worth. Like we bought that up like Friday, like fucking 7 years ago when we got married.
Yeah. Yeah, I get you on that.
Like we got our
Stuff like
money. I
that.
got a whole new set. Like it's sitting in a box in the garage.
Exactly,
Like
yeah.
we had one more thing. Like we had a block of knives. You ever seen those where you put your knife sets?
Yeah, it's like a wooden thing for
Yeah,
the slots on there for the knives.
yeah. So a couple years ago, the one that we had at the old house, it was a gift to me from someone I knew a long time ago. So that thing had to be like 10 years old. And slowly over time, I don't know how it happened. We lost knives off that set. And I told my wife, like, just leave that there. Like, well, what do you mean just leave it there? Just leave it. And then she's like, well, what are we going to do? Like, we have a whole new box knife set in the garage that you bought for like this very moment, like 5 years ago. So once we got into the new house, she was like kind of like weirded out by like, what do you mean? Like, what are we gonna do? Just leave it there. Tell them we're gonna leave them there. If they don't want it, they could throw it out. And I know in her mind, she was like fighting. And then we got to the new house. The first thing is open up that new knife set. Like, man, it's pretty sweet. These things are awesome. And then as Memorial Day, I was using them to cut up the skirt steak, la ranchera. And I was like, man, this is so flawless because these babies haven't cut anything. The other ones were getting to a point where every time I used them, I had to sharpen them up because you got that the one with the stick, the sharpener, and you're just like doing it
Hmm.
every time I used it. And then this new one, I didn't have to do that. I was like, oh, man, this is fucking sweet.
Yeah. No, I can relate to that, man. My folks, they always hold on to like these like 20-year-old knives. I'm like they're just like blunt. They're like
Yeah.
I'm like, what's the purpose of this? Like I'm trying to cut something up. I had to like freaking just knife after knife. It's not working. I'm like, what the hell is this? They're like, you got to sharpen it. I'm like, well, why? Just get like new knives. Like get ones that are new enough that you don't need to sharpen it every time. You know?
Like I said, the knife set that we got, she bought it with some gift card that we got or something at Kohl's. And I remember when she bought it, I'm like, we have a knife set. She's like, well, we can use this one. The other one's old. I'm like, sure. And there it was. It sat in a pile in the garage. It kept up all the new shit. And I'm like, here, I'm like, all right, leave that there. Let's take this one. And she was on like, I don't know. Like we had a new mixer, blender. And we threw away a lot of like canned food that expired that we bought during the pandemic too.
Oh
Like,
man.
I was reading that we're in this group page where I live now, where people take free food even if it's expired. Just like, should I give them this shit? Should I put it on the page? Like, here is some coconut water and some yams or a cranberry sauce that from like 3 years ago,
Yeah. No, that's
and soups. Because when the pandemic started, it's when there were gonna be that that initial shutdown. I'm like, just go buy soups and some like beans or something. And my wife bought like all these fucking soups. We're eating soups fucking forever. I remember eating last winter. Like I found canned soups back there from like the fucking pandemic. And I was just like, it's expired, but fuck it, I gotta eat this shit.
yeah. I
But
suppose if shit hit the fan, those soups would come in handy. But yeah, at a certain point, it's like, can't risk getting sick from it.
well, nah, I mean, I was like, real quick before we go to the article, I saw this video about canned food that basically canned food can last forever once it's sealed. But once you open it up, the consistency might not be there, what you think it is, but technically you can eat the food within like a day or two. Because once the air hits it, that's when it's gonna go bad quick. But technically,
Interesting.
you can eat it. Maybe on a next episode we'll talk about that. But with that being said, man, let's talk about consistency here. Let's go into this week's article. So this week's article, I found it. It's my article. I found it very interesting. It's from the Daily Mail. It's about the article states the headline: Astonishing story of millionaire social worker 32 who posed as a 13-year-old trafficked orphan to attend 3 high schools, who tricked adult couple into fostering her. I guess I'm kind of jealous because she got tricked people to take care of her. And she's a millionaire, so that tells you, like, I didn't need to do this, but she's like, I'm going to take this challenge up. Her name is Chevy Hewlett, allegedly conned her way into Boston high schools. She's accused of keeping up with the file working as a social worker. The reasons for the alleged elaborate plot remain unclear. The 32-year-old social worker was able to masquerade as a traumatized high schooler for almost a year while keeping her full-time job as a social worker. She was going as Ellie Blake, 13, and this is where it's messed up for all the Latinos out there, or also Daniela Blake Herrera, found their way into 3 high schools and treatment center for tricking therapists and her partner into becoming foster parents. Students who bullied her for looking like she was in her 30s, including tons of white cracks early, were disciplined, even though investigation, they were right all along. Why'd you do this? She quoted, I feel betrayed and confused. Accused of masquerading. Prosecutors say was conned her way to 3 high schools. She was charged with criminal forgery and identity fraud after she pleaded not guilty. She pretended to be a troubled 16-year-old in mid-2022, and she went to the Department of Children and Families, graduating with a master's degree in schools from counseling. She was hired as from the DCF. So she created emails for 2 fake social workers that claimed to be working on her behalf. And from there, she quickly began attending classes in Dorchester, where she stayed around 7 months before transferring to another high school. And then that's when she became Herrera. So
Yeah, it looks like she inherited
crazy,
some
man.
money too, right?
Yeah. She wrote, Ellie had a bad day at school yesterday, cried all evening and doesn't want to go back. She's really sensitive about people commenting on her face how she looks older. It's a huge trigger point. When the social worker wrote, she was claiming she had a genetic medical condition that prematurely aged her. So yeah, man, wow, this is like fucking to me. Read the article. She was reportedly known to routinely show up to support her foster daughter in high school at basketball games. The principal noticed that not only the email domain did not match DCF, but a letter supposedly from the body had a typo in its logo, noting it was from Department of Children Rhymed Families. So she got caught because she misspelled some shit. So, like, this thing's like, you can't make this shit up. And I think this is like the second time or a couple times in the past couple of years where people are acting, and not they're trying to swap cultures. Like a white woman claiming she was black, and then there was this, the transgender stuff, or I don't know, but it's like so convoluted now. But like again, another one. And it's unclear why she did this. I mean, are people that fucked up now, Noel? Like, they go around masquerading this double life, or just people are so immature that, they don't want to grow up?
It seems to me like it's like probably a mental illness or something. She's got something going on because, so early in the article, it says that she inherited probably somewhere close to $1 million or over $1 million from her mother and grandmother that passed away. So if you had $1 million, why in the world would you do what she did? Risk going to jail and risk getting, fined. Who knows how much money she's going to get fined for all that. For like what purpose? Like, I just don't even get it. Unless she feels like mentally breaking down to the point where like she's either lonely or depressed or whatever, and she's got to, find. I don't even know, man. It's so weird how I try to like make sense out of this. It's just crazy that she would do that. 30-year-old acting like a 13-year-old. It's like, what the hell, dude?
Yeah, I mean, it's fucking crazy.
Unless she's like dyslexic, she read the number wrong on her fucking ID. She's like, wait, 31 or 13?
And then she was going into the foster people were like, she's like, she had her foster mother didn't have money and sometimes ran out of food. And like went around to her, just like, this is the new kid in the neighborhood. Like, to find out this 32-year-old is sitting in class with my daughter and other kids, and she jumped to 3 different schools. It was scary. Maintain a facade, playing on the girls' basketball team, gossiping with friends half her age, and handing in homework. She was working at a DCF social worker full time. Like, this is insane, dude.
It's insane that she did it, but it's even more insane that she pulled it off. Like it worked, for a while. Like enough to get adopted by a foster family. Like, what the fuck, dude?
Like, we'll
Can you
take her
imagine
in.
that?
We'll help her. Yeah,
even
dude,
like
that's
some 30-year-old guy, be like, "Hey, Andy, can you adopt me?" Like, it's just like, what
and I
the
ain't
hell?
doing shit. Yeah.
Oh man, it's strange.
And then
man.
you're thinking, like, how much, like, this is like a one-time thing. Like, nah, I'm assuming now, like, it's happening all the time. People just use like this is and my mind starts thinking, like, how many times does this happen? Like, how many times is it going on right now? Because it's just asinine, dude. Like, and it's always like females that are doing this. That's like what's the worst part,
Yeah, I could see them being able to get away with it a little bit easier, but yeah, no, it's just strange as hell that for so long, like it went unnoticed. 3 different schools. Like, how do you go to 3 different high schools? Like, all right, yeah, go in class. You're late. You have
And
to
the thing is,
turn in your homework. It's like
the other students like noticed this immediately, and like the teacher's like, "Oh no, she has a condition that makes her look older." And I'm just like, okay.
Could you imagine going to class? You're like, what the fuck in the 31 Jump Street is this?
Yeah. And that's why they're like, oh, she put her hair in a ponytail and wore like super baggy clothes so they wouldn't notice her. I'm like, what the fuck does that even mean? Like I don't know. And like they're like white cracks amongst the jokes that were being made in the article towards her, and that's why she transferred because they were picking on her. The only reason she got caught is because she misspelled something on the letter on the title of the department, and the principal at the new school kind of noticed that. Like, what the fuck is this? And then she noticed the emails. What you get in corporate training now, when you get bullshit emails, they always tell you to look at the email signature, or the email address, and like that's part of like your training, And I'm like, that's how this guy caught it, like some cheap, basic common sense training.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just so bizarre. Yeah, hopefully, like, she explained at least a little bit. I'm guessing, right? But like they're still gonna sentence her. I'm assuming, so maybe they'll give her a chance to like make a statement. And I mean, maybe we'll never know. Maybe we'll never know what her motives were. They just seem so bored, ridiculous, dude. Man.
It's like typical woman shit. I think she was just bored and like, I just wish I was in high school. That's where she peaked, maybe. Like her high school was the best times. So like maybe I could go back and relive all that shit.
It was like an early midlife crisis.
Hey man, people go through that shit all the time.
Yeah, that's true, man. That could be that.
Like I was the top bitch in high school. I can redo it.
And in one of the pictures, she does look younger than 30 for sure. She has like braces on, and she has like her hat, so that's covering her like forehead, so you can't see like.
Well, that's what she did. Yeah, she put braces on, and the article goes into say to make herself look younger.
Yeah, so I mean, she did look younger than 30 in that picture, but not 13, dude. Like that, I don't know how she fooled so many people, but hey, man, that's crazy. In this day and age, especially like modern technology, I could see that pulling them off in like the 70s, 80s. People did stranger things, dude. I remember there was a story about a little girl. Well, it wasn't a little girl. It was like an adult, like 50-year-old woman that looked like a little girl that was adopted by a family and like lived with them for many years until they found out, yeah, like, no, this girl's like already 50 years old.
She's collecting Social Security.
Yeah. Oh, man. Crazy world we live in, dude.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, man. Well, anyway, that wraps things up for today's, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us on the Freeform Network. If you're not already, please follow us on X at FFR Podcast. And if you have any questions or suggestions, the email to drop that off is ffnquestions@gmail.com. From Freeform Radio, my name is Noel, and we have Andy here.
It's all good, Andy. I want to thank you guys for joining us, and I'm hoping at the next episode I'll sound a lot better. I should have my internet going at the house.
Most definitely, man. Well, everybody, we wish you a great night and a beautiful tomorrow.
That was cool, Dad.